after she saw an article with us with our latest donation check to the hospital. And she was like, it's amazing. Like, real estate is funding your purpose. And I'm like, 100%. Like, that is so cool to me. Like, that our business literally is our Northern Star. Everything is just around like, well, how much are we going to raise for the hospital this year? And like, that to me is just so cool, because it's like why we're here. Like, now, like, that's what I'm here for, you know?
So the question is this: how do most agents find the secrets to succeed in today's competitive real estate market, especially when the top agents are keeping those secrets to themselves? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. Hi, I'm Aaron Amuchastegui, and welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Amuchastegui, and I'm back today to interview Jen McConnell. Jen is from Charleston, South Carolina. We've been chatting for a few minutes. I'm really excited about what we're going to be sharing with you today. We might as well get started. Jen, how's it going?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad that you're coming on and being a listener of the show and out there in real estate. And then we also realize we have a bunch of like friends in common and associates in common, and that makes it extra fun and extra easy to start a conversation.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So what company are you with out there?
So I actually own my own brokerage called McConnell Real Estate Partners, and we're on Isle of Palms, which is just east of downtown Charleston.
So that's cool. So you own your own brokerage. When did you get into real estate?
I got into real estate when I was a junior in college. So I guess it'll be 18 years this year, 18 years ago. So
that is awesome. So what made you, while you're in college, what made you decide to do that?
You know, I don't know what it was. I've always had an interest in real estate. Like when I was little, like elementary age, on Sunday, they would just, like on Channel 2, they would list the open houses for the day. And I would literally watch that before we went to church. Like that was like half of my religion was like watching that. It was so weird. It's like I was so little, so obviously I didn't know anything about it. But then in college, I was a marketing and finance major. And then I had an opportunity for an internship. And I was a very small town, and you had like 3 builders in town. And I was just like, you know what? I think that'd be fun. Like I'll go build houses. That'll be cool. So I just went out to one of the builders out in our town, and I asked for a job, and they said they had already hired. And I was like, well, that's okay. Like I need an interview. Like I need to work here. Like I need an internship. So I ended up kind of like working my way in, and I got a job. So that's kind of how I started as a real estate assistant for a new homes consultant.
That's fascinating. And that was like 06, 07?
Yeah, I graduated in 06. So that was like 05. Actually, 05 is when I started. Yeah.
05 was the time that builders were like, it was wild. So I graduated in construction management at the same time. I was a home builder. I loved the home building, like business mindset back then. And it's this whole like journey. So you as marketing, you went in as a builder, but then you get to see like working for the building company, but then you got to see the real estate agents, the sales processes, and they were like fine oiled machines. Most of the builders in like 05, it was a pretty wild thing.
Absolutely. At the time, they're a semi-custom builder, and they were just in Ohio, which is where I'm from. And then actually, as I was graduating is when they were expanding. And so that's what brought me to Charleston. Actually, they were like, do you want to go to Wilmington or Charleston? I was like, I've never been to Charleston. I'm 21 years old. Might as well go. It sounds awesome. So that's actually how I got here in Charleston with that builder. Very cool.
No better job out there. All right. So then you moved to Charleston, and then I'm going to make some guesses. So then like 07, 08, 09. What was the market like then? What was it like after you got to Charleston?
So 08, we all lost our jobs.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So 08 is when I got my general real estate license. So just I didn't have to have a license to do new construction with that builder because we didn't own any land. So then in 2008, I actually got my real estate license. We then moved I was in Greenville because I opened up their model home location. So bad time to be doing all that. And then we moved to Columbia in South Carolina here. And I started working for custom home builders on the lake there. So it was interesting, and like for custom home builders at that point, you weren't doing specs, which was fine with me. I was always in high end construction, even with the semi-custom builder. So it was an interesting time. It was definitely a scared time, but we got through it. And I think it just made you stronger. So. Yeah.
So how did you do in like 09 to 2010? Like do you remember how many deals you did back then?
Oh gosh, no. Like, I don't think I did anything in general. I mean, I think I did like a handful, just like my friends in general brokerage. And then new construction, I really didn't get back to new construction until 2010, which is the year I got married. And so that's kind of when I was like, all right, like the market's settled now. Like we can definitely do this. And the way I was kind of taught was really as far as the construction side as well. So like I had to know how to build the house from ground up. Like we were tested on it. You had to know it. So just having that kind of knowledge, I found that not a lot of new construction agents didn't have. So I was able to kind of use that in my general brokerage side, but then also with my construction side. So I stayed in construction up until 2016, basically. And then I fully transitioned over in 2016 to general brokerage.
Got it. So listeners, if you're out there, a lot of the way that like new home building sales works, if you guys haven't seen it yet, especially when it's really, really busy. So sometimes you can go like see a model home and then next door, there's already a house that's done, that's ready for move in. Or if you get in early enough, your buyer will, get in contract on something and they'll like want to stop by during the construction process. Mm-hmm. So agents are like touring them and they're like looking where their pipes are and things like that. So I'm guessing that's part of that process you're talking about, Jen, is you're walking through the houses, with them along the way. So that knowledge got to help you, because most real estate agents actually don't know what's inside the walls, what's behind the drywall. And you found that, that knowledge helps you like on just normal resale stuff now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, even everything from I was able to customize our floor plans as much as the person wanted to. So I was getting online with CAD on my whiteboard, redlining my lines right there, and they're fixing it structurally for me. Whereas like this one's little barren, you can't move this wall. Well, this one, you absolutely can do whatever you need to. Let's throw in an I-beam here and we can go 16 feet wide. Like just things that most agents don't know, I can definitely look at, especially when you're looking at homes for renovations. It's like, you got to kind of know that stuff. So it's definitely been helpful.
Yeah. So what's the market like in Charleston? What was it like in like 2021, 2022, 2020, and then now?
I think like most places, it was just crazy. The thing about Charleston, though, is it's a destination. So everyone that was in the bigger cities, they came here to kind of escape for a little bit for COVID when they thought it would just be a couple of weeks. And then they're like, oh, crap, like we can't go back home. Like, so they would just stay, right? So then all of them stayed, took a lot more of our inventory. Then inventory got down to hundreds, just hundreds of houses. And we're still seeing some of that. Our numbers are ticking back up. But, last year, even beginning of the year, it was multiple offers, all contingencies waived, cash won the deal, quick closes. Whereas now we're definitely seeing a little bit of a slowdown. Like our market actually in 2022 was down about 7% in Charleston. But, I think that we just are a destination where people are moving up their retirement. They were planning on moving here someday, but a lot of people are still able to work from home. So they're just moving up those plans now. So, and we are surrounded by water. So we have no more land. So it's only just getting more expensive. So
yeah. And I guess that's where remodeling comes into play too, if there's no more land. So what's the average price point out there?
Average price point in Charleston, honestly, is kind of low. It's like $350 to $400. But really, when you get into like the bigger parts of Charleston, like Mount Pleasant, downtown Charleston, like Mount Pleasant, it's more up in like 700s.
Yeah. And then how many transactions did you do last year? Last
year, we did 46.
And then what do you think you're going to do this next year?
Next year, we'll do probably 60 million. That's what we're targeting for.
So last year when you did 46, how many, is it a team?
So my husband's on the team. He really deals with our investor clients. So he is a finance background. And so when he left corporate America and kind of came onto our team and then we opened up our brokerage, that's kind of the path that he went down. And I pretty much do all of our buyers and listings. And then we do have 2 agent concierges who kind of like help us with showings. If we just can't be here or there all the time, they can help us out. And then we have an assistant as well. So just a small team.
Yeah, I guess that's right. I mean, I say team because that's so common, but you have your own brokerage, so it's your own business. And so you had built your team, and then somewhere along the line you said, what company were you with before you became a broker?
Keller Williams.
So you're with KW, and you like built up a team, and you said, okay, I'm ready to go like do my own thing now, and it's still small where you and your husband are doing most of the volume.
Oh yeah, we're doing all the volume.
Oh, you're doing all the volume. So you do. So he does the investor clients, you do that other side, and then you have a couple other agents for the extra showings. That's really cool. When we were doing a lot of flips in like 2009, 2010, we were buying like 20 houses a month, 20, 30 houses a month. And my wife was the listing agent. So I would buy them, fix them. She would sell them. And then we finally got to a point where we decided we were missing out on all those sign call leads because she had no interest in going to, she was busy with all of her listings. We didn't want to like grow any sort of a team, but we kept getting all these sign calls from people saying like, well, this one's, can you show me the one next door? Can you show me another one? Yeah. So we finally hired a couple agents that would, they would do the open houses, that would take the sign calls, and they were able to build up their business that way. Are you planning to grow it anymore, or are you just happy with the size that you're at?
So we went back and forth. We're coming up on 2 years. We've been open with our brokerage, and I really like the boutique feel. Like, I love to work with my clients personally. I don't like to hand them off. We did have a couple agents that were on board last year, and it worked out for the time, but it wasn't natural. I feel like I like to be with my clients. Like, I'm not going anywhere. So I think to keep the boutique feel, Josh and I definitely will be the ones dealing with our clients. However, I think that we'll just bring on more agents who will help our business, and then we can help them grow theirs, and they're, stay with us, go on their own. However we can help them, is great. But, I don't need to bring on like a team and then grow McConnell Real Estate Partners. Like, that's not necessarily our goal. It's to really keep who we work with and just build off of that. Like, 95% of our business last year was just repeat clients and, referrals from other agents or clients that have bought from us in the past. So like, that's our business now. We don't pay for any leads now.
Hey, real estate rock stars. This is Aaron Abuchastegui, and I'm interrupting myself to bring you this commercial break from one of our sponsors. There's somebody I've been looking at for a long time, and when they reached out to me, I said, yes, we have to be able to do this deal. So that sponsor is Follow Up Boss. There's a lot of superstars out there that use Follow Up Boss. What's your favorite CRM?
We're using Follow Up Boss.
We use Follow Up Boss.
So we use Follow Up Boss.
I love Follow Up Boss. I love it. We have action plans now for bringing on new agents. We have action plans for our recruiting.
We call them action plans in Follow Up Boss, which will trigger tasks for the agents to do as far as calling. Follow Up Boss I like more for the integrations with everything, MailChimp, Call Action, all those different products.
I will say we used Sync, and we switched from Sync to Follow Up Boss.
Honestly, the greatest CRM I've ever used. I've used Brivity, Sync. I've looked at Boomtown, like Real Geeks, just a bunch of different ones. But me personally, I fell in love with FUB about 7 months ago when I first started using it.
I've used Boomtown. I've used LineDesk. I've used Conversion. And I think Follow Up Boss gives you the most integrations that are simple, and it gives you the best ability to go and integrate large things into one single solitary platform. Yet at the same time, it's still affordable.
I do like Follow Up Boss better just because you can text from the app and things like that. It's just a little more convenient for me.
It tracks everything that I need. I can customize it if I want. If I want to go smart list based, that's fine. If I want to go task based, it's fine.
I think it's one of the best systems, and it's very user friendly.
It just really helps me never drop a ball because it's so user friendly.
I don't have a one horse in the race with Follow Up Boss. Purely objective, Follow Up Boss has been the best one that we've found.
Now, I've used Follow Up Boss. We've actually used it in our non-real estate businesses as well because it's so good at being able to set timers, set automatic texting and emailing. So here's what we got. For Real Estate Rockstars listeners, you get a 30-day free trial. That's normally 14 days. So in order to get this, you go followupboss.com, just like it sounds, /rockstars. Go there, get your 30-day free trial and check it out. Especially if you aren't using any systems or any CRMs yet, this will be a great one for you to start with. Thanks again. Now back to our show. So I could see that being, it's also the benefit of being your own broker is you get to be your boutique, whatever. Mm-hmm. You can have your own style, your own marketing, your own whatever. It's just purely yours. Are there any other advantages to, as you became your own broker?
I mean, a lot of it for me was the marketing. So I'm huge. I was a marketing major. So I'm really big on just having a certain level and a certain standard, and nothing against KW. I absolutely love KW, but we did actually get pushback on a lot of some referrals that we got where they were like, we will just never deal with a KW agent. It is nothing against you. People have raved about you, but we will just never deal with that brand. I'm like, man, that sucks. And it's not that I ever thought that what they were saying was true or anything, but I just don't want that to be an obstacle or an objection. So just being able to market my own, control the narrative, control the brand, and really just be known. We're on a small island here in Charleston, and, we support the soccer team, and it's my last name, McConnell Real Estate Partners is on there. We have our nonprofit, McConnell Foundation. We're just here for a lifetime. So we need to be in our neighborhoods. And the best way to do that is obviously with our last name. So everything just kind of aligned. It made sense to just go out on our own. Everyone's like, well, yeah, I was waiting for you to do that. We knew you would. Why wouldn't you? I have a moving truck, with my huge face on it. And it's a complimentary, beautiful moving truck that clients can have. And it's just a different level, I think, than a lot of people expect from just a franchise brokerage.
Yeah. What's something that you wish you would have known when you first got started in real estate? I mean, your first probably 5 years were like kind of pretty rocky up and down. It's like this interesting stuff. But like now that you've done so much, like what's something you wish you would have known earlier on that maybe would have jump-started your career?
I wish I would have started with social media earlier. So I really didn't start with social media until maybe 6 years ago. And like, I didn't have Facebook in college. Like not everyone around me did. Like I kind of was late with all of that. And now I just wish that I had the time to really do more of it and really know it and become the master of it. Because I feel like that's such a great resource for education for buyers or sellers, for agent connections. I just feel like it's such a great resource, and it's free other than your time. So if I were a new agent, I mean, I would double down on social media. I would know everything that I possibly could. I would do the reels. I would do everything. I would do everything that you see a lot of people doing, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I remember when Facebook came out and I was so slow. Like, I'm like, I don't get it. It's kind of weird. Like I don't like that whole idea. Like to me, it was just like, it wasn't for me. And as people were like signing up and doing it more and more, I just didn't really get it at all. And I think as a result, like, you get behind, but real estate is such a social, like sphere of influence game.
Yeah.
And if you have 5,000 acquaintances on social media and you get to start telling them that you're a real estate agent, that is way more spread than if you have 500. Mm-hmm. And you could start building and growing all sorts of different, things in there. I think that's really good advice. Now, how about for you guys right now? So you were a part of a boom and a crash before, and now stuff is tightening up and slowing down. Are there any things that you like remembered seeing from like back in 2008 or like in business that as it's changing right now, you guys are like, if the market slows, here's something that we're going to do a little different, or here's something we're going to focus on, or here's something we're going to be careful with? Has anything happened where you're like, this is a change we're going to make this year that was like different than like January 2021 where it was stuff's flying off the market?
No, not necessarily. I mean, seeing what happened in 2008, 2009, like that was black and white compared to what's happening now. Like that was a complete just disaster, right? Like I remember being on the phone with people across the desk from me, on the phone with the lender, and they're like, well, how much do they want to buy for? And I'm like, well, they don't even have $500 they can give me. Like, what do you mean you want to give them like $1 million? Like, they can't even give me 500 today. Like, what are we talking about? So you could see that one coming. Like, this is nothing compared to that. And I think it's just a correction. And honestly, we could not keep up with the prices that we were at the rate we were going last year with some of the price increases. And so it's needed. But I think that it's just balancing out is all that it is. So there's nothing different that we're doing or projecting or, taking away or changing really. I mean, all of our funding, like I said, goes back into our client experiences essentially and our client events. So we don't go into, buying any leads or anything like that. So we're not changing really anything like that other than we're adding more client events. So just seeing them more, being in front of them more. And that's really just all that we're doing more or different.
Yeah. So you talked about, you have a nonprofit out there that your name's on, and you and I got to talk about it briefly. Tell me about that.
So we have a nonprofit called the McConnell Foundation, and the foundation raises funds for pediatric cancer research. So my son was diagnosed with cancer at the age of 5 months, and then he was cured at 10 months old. And he was cured right here in MUSC, which is the Children's Hospital here in Charleston. And his amazing oncologist, Dr. Kveka, she runs one of the only pediatric cancer research labs in South Carolina. So we're able to fund her, but she also shares that on a national platform. So the research that she's doing, I mean, it's just remarkable. Like 100% her research she did 5-10 years ago is why my son's cured. I mean, we know that for a fact. So she's just really doing amazing things in her lab. So for us to be able to help fund that, like we promised God in the hospital, like if you get our son through this, like we will do whatever we can to help the hospital, help Dr. Kveka, like promise you, God, we will do whatever we need to. And that is what we felt like he was telling us to do. So our brokerage also changed it. So my son was cured in 2019. And in 2020 is when we first started setting aside a portion of our commissions to donate to the hospital, to her Dr. Kveka's research. Well, it's awesome and like it was so great because we did $25,000 our first year. And then, your clients get so excited about what you're doing and they want to like help you out. But like as a brokerage, you can't just like take a check for, they're like, we want to help your cause. I'm like, I know. And I love you for it. But like, I can't take just like your money because that's illegal. So I was like, all right, well, like the foundation can help fund that as well. So then we did $25,000 our first year, $50,000 the next year. And then last year we did another 50, but then I did another 45 from the foundation. So our foundation, we actually started in 2021 with our first event actually being in 2022. So through our gala that we had in June, it's a black tie gala we have in Mount Pleasant, and we were able to do just a little over $45,000 for that. So overall, we're like almost at $200,000 that we've donated in like 2.5 years, which is pretty cool.
Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Amuchastegui. Thank you for letting me interrupt for a second. I've got something really, really important to talk about. You know how last year we kept talking about that mastermind? What is the mastermind? What are we talking about with that mastermind? Last May, there was like 60 or 70 people of you listeners that had never met, flew out to Austin, Texas. We all hung out at this awesome event center and we spent a couple days with some great guest speakers talking about skills and strategies to succeed in real estate. And then we had these mastermind tables where everyone rotated, everyone got to meet everybody, everyone got to provide value. Some of the agents there had only done 1 or 2 deals ever. Some of the agents there had done hundreds of deals, and they all got to interact and help each other build their business and build their strategies. And I've heard so many stories of friendships that came from that, of referrals that have come from that. There were 6 or 7 people at that one that heard me talk about doing an Ironman, and we all did an Ironman together in North Carolina last month, and we had never even met before the podcast live. So it's been such a cool experience. I would love it for you guys to come. Days March 6th through 8th. Sign-ups right now. Go to hibandigital.com/mastermind. We also have a room block set up. It's 3 days, downtown Austin. Great, really cool hotel, really cool convention center that we're going to be hosting it. And we're going to get a chance I can't wait to meet you guys. I can't wait for you to meet other listeners. I can't wait for you to develop these new interactions. And really what we're teaching, last year was like, how do you make a business better? But the market was just starting to turn, and I was trying to give some people some advice of what to do when it was happening. Now it has turned. And this time we're going to be talking so much about how to pivot and what to do next. So again, I hope you sign up for the mastermind. Sorry for such the long advertisement, but I can't wait to meet you. hibandigital.com/mastermind.
Wow. So how old is your son now?
My son's 5.
Your son's 5.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I have a 7-year-old son. I've got 3 girls. My girls are like 15, 13, and 11, but my boy is 7, and he is just so wild. Little boys are so much fun. I'm sure your 5-year-old is the same. That's really unreal. So he gets diagnosed with cancer super young. How does anyone even get diagnosed when they're that young, right? And then you're faced with this challenge. And I think, man, I know that every time my oldest daughter has some medical issues right now, and we find ourselves making all these deals with God along the way.
Yeah.
We go, if this can happen, this is what we'll do. Yeah. Like if she can get better, we will do this, 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 and this. Yeah. So then it happened for you. And then the next year you're like, okay, so what do we do? So it sounds like at the very beginning, you guys just made donations.
Yep.
Right. And you do a percentage of every deal?
Every deal.
So you do a percentage of every deal, and you started making the donations, and then people started asking you more about it, and you're like, oh, maybe we should build this foundation. So how long between the first time you made a donation to where you actually said, let's set up a foundation and help other people pitch in too?
So we did 2019 was our first year. We did 25, 2020, we did 50. And then
did the foundation right away?
No. The foundation wouldn't start till 2021. And it took about 9 months to get approved. So we actually didn't do anything with the foundation until 2022.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically we were just, we started with our brokerage because that's what kind of made sense. People know, I had to take time off of, I literally stopped real estate the day my son was diagnosed. And I was like, nothing else matters.
Stop everything.
Right? So I was with him every hospital visit. We stayed with him. And I was just there. That was my job. So I kind of had to restart in 2019 once he was cleared. So I only worked, 6 months that year, but that was my best year to date that I had ever had in those 6 months that I was able to work. And I was the number 1 agent at Keller Williams at that time with 350 agents. And I did that in 6 months. And I was like, that's not me. That's God taking care of me. Right. So I'm all right, I have to there's something on my heart that I need to do. I have to be able to do more than just, what our brokerage can do to give back at that point. And so that's just really what was you know what? I love to throw parties. I think I should just throw a gala every year. Well, you need a nonprofit to do that, to be able to actually accept the funds. So it just kind of all came together seamlessly. And now we have two different methods of how we're able to fund our purpose. And I love an agent that's actually at KW. She was so sweet after she saw an article with us with our latest donation check to the hospital. And she was like, it's amazing. Like, real estate is funding your purpose. And I'm like, 100%. Like, that is so cool to me. Like, that our business literally is our Northern Star. Everything is just around like, well, how much are we going to raise for the hospital this year? And like, that to me is just so cool, because it's like why we're here. Like, now, like, that's what I'm here for. I'm like, obviously our clients are everything, but like, they're helping us get there too. And they're so involved, and they come to our gala, and they love Bodie. Everyone, like, even if they don't know him, they feel like they do, because he's in all of our stories, and like, we keep them updated on everything. So it's really cool. It's very, very cool.
Yeah. That's the what's money for, right? Like what's money for? There's all sorts of fun things that we get to use it for. But when you get to change lives, like that's, the Northern Star, very cool. And it's getting to know that your day job, because some people have a passion or something something they're passionate about or something they want to support. Plus they have their job. Yeah. So they can have their job or they can go volunteer over here, but you're able to actually like intermingle them, where it's like, here's your job, but every time you do a good job at your job, it's going to help this. Was it hard to set up the foundation?
We actually hired an attorney to help, just because we knew that we were on a short timeline for when I wanted to have our gala, our very first event for the foundation. So we hired an attorney who specializes in that. And he got everything together, sent it in, and we were pretty much guaranteed to get accepted. So I wasn't too concerned about it. But I mean, it did take 9 months for them to actually like get through it, signed off on, and sent. But
any advice you'd give for somebody that's thinking about starting a foundation, as their business starts getting better and they're like, hey, they donate, but they want to do it a little bit more controlled? Any ideas for that?
Yeah, I mean, there are restrictions. That's the thing, is like, there are definitely restrictions with a lot of things. People are like, I want to start a nonprofit. I'm like, well, there's always this to go on to. They can always reach out to me. I'm happy to put them in touch with our attorney that set everything up for us. I mean, it's great. And it's done right. And there's not a chance that it'll come back and be denied for anything, basically, which we needed that peace of mind. So,
yeah. That is such a cool story. I'm definitely going to reach out later for that info. There's different, we love to help, and people love to help people. And at different times, it's like, man, I wish it could be more organized and things like that. And it's such a cool thing that you've set up, where you take a little bit every time, you make sure that you grow it, and it gets to be your double passion. What advice would you give to people just right now in real estate, as far as like getting new leads or marketing or something else that's working really, really good? Like right now, you've just crushed marketing in your local area. You've put your name everywhere. You're recognizable. When somebody's thinking, do I know anyone in real estate? Your name is in so many places that's triggering, right? They're going like, yeah, we know the McConnells are in real estate because your stuff is out there. But any advice you'd give for other agents right now that are going from 20 deals last year to now they're not sure where they're going to get their next deals? What should they be focusing on? What should they double down on?
Our biggest thing is to provide concierge level service. Like, that is my thing. I just have a very high standard for how we operate. And I think that if you haven't necessarily done that so far, I think you can still make up for that. So every single person that has purchased from you in the past or sold with you, I mean, if you aren't already, you need to make sure you have your post-close checklist and have that automated as much as you possibly can. But if not, I mean, if you're doing 20 deals a year, you definitely can call every single person that you just closed last year. I mean, there's no reason you shouldn't. You should be writing them. You should be emailing them, sending them videos, sending them Christmas cards or Thanksgiving, well wishes. I mean, there's just so many different things that you need to do as far as an agent is concerned to be able to actually get that referral base like we have now. It's all because of the experience that we provide, and we are very intentional on every single touch that we do. And that's from the moment we get the lead all the way through, years and years down the road. Like, I'm dealing with a client that was one of my first clients, actually, once I came back from when Bodie was sick. And, now I think we're on like property number 10 or 11. I mean, they just put in for a quad today. So it's like, if you treat people right and you put their interests first, I feel like naturally they're going to want to use you again. But we can't fault people for kind of forgetting or meeting a new friend who's now an agent and, maybe not saying our name sometimes. So I think it's up to us to really stay in touch genuinely and provide service or provide value really to them. So, are you keeping them updated with what their home is worth today compared to when they bought it last year or even 2 years ago? Because that's changed drastically. but also to just genuinely be interested. Like one thing that we do, like, so we have families, any of our families, we know that their kids are going back to school in August. So we send every single kid a customized cookie kit that has like their name written on one of the cookies and have a great day back to school. Like just sweet things like that. But then like we know that we have a lot of people who are, empty nesters. So they probably want to go to like a happy hour at one of the new waterfront restaurants. So we do that. So like you really have to customize your marketing for the year around who your database is. So you definitely should have a really solid CRM. So then you can kind of tag all of your different clients. So then you know who you should be targeting. So if 50% of your clients are empty nesters and everyone else is first-time home buyers and investors and everyone else, like you got to kind of know what your marketing plan should be for the year. And we planned those, last year for this year. I mean, that stuff's already done.
Yeah. And what's your favorite CRM?
Follow Up Boss.
Use Follow Up Boss.
Yeah. It took a while to find her, but she's the best. She's great. Yeah.
The Follow Up Boss is our biggest sponsor on the podcast. And recently realized the founder lives right by me here in Austin.
Really?
So like how random and small world sometimes the way that works out. I think he might even, I'm talking about maybe coming and speaking at our mastermind here in a couple months.
Nice.
Out here. You mentioned the post-closing checklist. What are some things on that post-closing checklist that people should be putting to their list?
Well, of course, you want to follow up shortly after closing. So if it's a buy or sale, you want to follow up, make sure everything's okay within like a first couple of days, if not 24 hours after closing. We usually try to do something, pop by and drop off something like a small food, or if I know something that they need before they move in, you definitely want to have 1 month closing. If they're new construction, you want to set, and these are all reminders, of course, that you have in Follow Up Boss. So it's automatically popping into your calendar. But, 11 month is when builders want to do their 11 month walkthrough. So you need to remind them then that they have that right to do that walkthrough with their builder again and basically get any nails popped up or nail pops touched up and anything else that's going wrong with the house. So, those type of reminders you need to just be very intentional about. We have client events. So we have client events almost every other month where it's in person. We send quarterly print newsletter. So even if they if they're not kind of love to chat or whatever, like at least they're getting something from us. It's very well done, has a letter, has our update. Like here's our latest check donation. Then something going on like a new local boutique and then housing projections for 2023. Here are some of our calendar events for next year. This is for us. So like we have Valentine's Day cookie kit pickup in February, River Dogs game in May where we rent out the whole mezzanine. We have Front Beach Fest here on Isle of Palms, and then our foundation in September. So like we just have a lot of events and a lot of ways for people to meet other people too. Like they know that we're not just coming there to be like, hey, who do you know to buy or sell? Like we don't even talk real estate at our events. Like we're here to find out what's going on with Jimmy and Debbie and like how's life? How do you love Daniel Island? How do you love wherever? Like we just want to learn and make sure we're in their life and providing value however we can. We're always there if they know if they need us, but we're not there to talk real estate. So just being intentional about everything. Like that just for us has been, that's why our numbers are the way they are.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you, what are some of those examples of your every other month thing, but you just talked about it, like the cookie kit pickup, the thing at the beach, the dinners, things like that. This has been really, really cool. And getting to see how you've built your business over such a long time, right? Like there's probably a lot of people that see what you're doing and they're like, wow, she's so lucky. She's got such a big business going. And you're like 18 years in the making of like learning these different processes. And then I think you said 2016 was when you transitioned from working exclusively for builders to actually building out, more of your business. Is that right? So it's really just 7 years of that.
Well, yeah. And actually, I had to start over really. So I was in Columbia for 6 years prior to coming back to Charleston. So in 2016, I started all over. I wasn't in new construction anymore. I was in general brokerage. My database, I didn't even have one because at that time I wasn't keeping it. Again, just like mistakes that I had. And, so I literally was just starting all over. So I just kind of started over in 2016. So it hasn't been super long. And really my son was diagnosed in 2018. So 2018, 2019, I really wasn't working necessarily. So it's been pretty short. But it's definitely possible if you just treat people the right way, stay true to who you are, find your Northern Star and just keep going. It's just, it's kind of simple, honestly,
Yeah, well, I guess last question, we could have closed it out with that, but like 2016 starting over, what did you do to build your business base then? Or how'd you get your first clients then? Like, how did you?
So 2016, we bought leads. Yeah,
Okay.
coming back. So like we moved from another market and I was able to buy our home because I was an agent, but I was like, well, what tools did I use to buy my house? So I literally just invested in where I found my house. And so I bought them, and so we bought them for the first year. And then of course, when Bodie got sick, my son, his name is Bodie. When Bodie got sick, we of course cut that off. And then when I came back, I just relied heavily on, referral based.
Yeah.
So
what a cool story. So new agents, right? Like new agents as you're getting started, that's one of the tracks, right? We talk about getting leads from knocking on doors. You can get leads all sorts of different ways, but people are like, man, Jen's got a business now that's almost 100% referral based. It sounds like it's mostly referrals and what she's built up. But in order to get that, it's like she started with buying leads, making that work, figuring out, and really it kind of depends on where you live. In some areas, Realtor.com leads are better than Zillow leads, are better than something else. It just depends on what people use in those markets. In Texas, for example, like Zillow has really great data in the Austin area, but really bad data, like just south of Austin, in between Austin and San Antonio. But Realtor.com has different stuff. Like there's all these different ways that people do this stuff, but figure out what people are using in your area. You can buy them and then you can start to build out that whole, checklist, post-closing checklist, follow-up, and turn those first leads into ones that last forever. Jen, this was a lot of fun. Any other closing thoughts? Anything else you want to say? And or if not, how can people get a hold of you when they want to ask you about something?
We have a great website, chsestates.com. Our foundation website is the McConnellFoundation.com. And on social media or Instagram, I'm at Charleston Estates.
At Charleston Estates. I just followed you today. I'm sure we'll do some more interacting on there. Jen, this was so much fun. Thanks for coming on our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great to meet you.
You're welcome. And Real Estate Rockstars, thanks for listening.
All right, Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Muchastegui jumping in again to thank you for listening to the show. Hopefully you guys loved listening to that one. And I want to make sure that you know about all of the extra resources that we have. And also, we need your help. They say podcasts are free. You get to listen to podcasts for free. But what is the cost of that podcast? I would say if I could beg you to pay anything for that podcast, I would say the cost of the podcast is going and giving a review. So whether you download it on Google or Apple or YouTube or anywhere else, please go give us a review. Say what you liked, what you didn't like. It helps us get better guests. The more reviews, the higher we get in the rankings. Right now, we are the biggest podcast out there for real estate agents, and we want to keep that spot because we know there's lots of podcasts out there. So go give us a review. Also, be sure to go to hibandigital.com. If you liked any of the resources that those real estate agents talked about, we've got a huge video vault of those resources for free. Every penny that comes on the podcast that we interview, they give us something that helps them get their deals or helps them work with their clients. And we put that in the toolbox in our vault for you. So go to hibandigital.com and you can get it. If you're looking for real estate education, go to rebusuniversity.com. We have all sorts of courses in there to help agents succeed in real estate, how to get the listing, how to negotiate deals, how to become an investor, all sorts of different stuff, rebusuniversity.com. And if you want to chat with me, go find me on Instagram. And if you come find me on Instagram, you can send me messages. Tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. We try to put a bunch of content out there too. You can find me in 2 different places. It's at rerockstars.com for our Real Estate Rockstars page, or at aaronmuchastegui.com for my personal Instagram page, where I can chat with you about all sorts of different things. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again soon.